Have you ever tried to make the piece? The one that's supposed to be your best art ever. It's portfolio ready, it's career defining, it's hanging in a gallery type level. Yes, me too. And then I spent hours scrolling on Pinterest, made 30 thumbnails, built a full 3D set in Blender, and I scrapped it all. And the worst part, I ended up liking the painting that I made the next week in only 2 hours. Way better. So let me tell you the story. Let's go back to the summer. My goal is to make a brand new art book. My last one came out 5 years ago, and this year I'm tabling at the biggest animation convention in the world, Lightbox Expo in LA. Easy enough, right? I just need a new book cover. Well, listen here. The founder of Lightbox, Bobby Chu, reached out to me and asked if I would like to make a mural for the convention. So I thought, okay, what if I combine all these things that I need to do into one piece. One painting that can do it all. It'd be my new book cover. It would be the mural, my promo banner, my website brand. One illustration that would basically define my brand for the next, 5 years. Synergy. But with that kind of pressure, I completely froze. I procrastinated for weeks, and when I finally checked my printing deadlines, I realized I had to send it in within the next few days if I wanted my books to come back in time for Lightbox. So now I've got 4 days to build the most impressive piece I've ever made in my entire life, to create a piece that represents everything I've built so far. Time to get started. I start as I always do, with a mood board. I start collecting art that makes me feel something, pieces that feel cinematic, bold, alive. I write down a few words to guide me, ones that capture my style and what I want people to feel when they see it. It needs to be bold in composition and color. I want it to be character focused, not environment focused. I want it to feel energetic and story driven and cinematic. Technically, it needs to fit the parameters of the mural and the book. So it must be horizontal, but it can also crop to square. All right, what subject matter speaks to me? Obviously, cowboys. I've been drawing cowboys for years. I love the tone, the energy, the mood, the vibes. So onto Pinterest for inspiration. I'm gathering some photos of vibes and scenes and moments and compositions that interest me. I love a female cowboy. I want her to be sexy and cool and almost dark. I'm thinking about making it like a mysterious cowboy sitting at a bar, almost like a photo shoot. And I don't need to draw thumbnails for this. That was my first mistake. I opened up Blender to build the scene. I made some really cool pieces using 3D earlier this year, so I think this method will give me the coolest illustration. I used my cowboy I modeled earlier this year as a placeholder. I'll draw out the character later. I'm basically going to just use the background, so I pose her out on a bar stool, and after building the set around her, I'm starting to place the camera, so I only need to build what's within the frame. Once I get some basic lighting in there, I start blocking out the bar, the bottles, the other chairs. It's gonna be cool. She's smoking a cigarette. She's drinking whiskey. I don't smoke. I don't drink. So at this point, everything is pretty busy on screen. I play with the atmosphere to get some more desirable colors. I don't know, at this point, it's kind of a cool scene, but I know I have a lot of painting to do over this to fix it up. I bring it over to Photoshop and freeze. Okay, now what? I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. I start with sketching the character over it, and then suddenly, I forget how to draw completely. Real question though, what's harder for you? Starting a piece or finishing it? Comment your answers below. And yes, I read the comments. So in order to remember how to draw, I bring in my favorite cowboy piece to help me ground myself as to who I am as an artist, right? Why isn't this working? It's not the bold vibe that I'm looking for. So let me bring the sketch into the mural mock-up. It doesn't feel bold. This other cowboy drawing looks awesome on the mural. Why does that drawing work and this one doesn't? Maybe I need a tighter frame to make the character moment shine brighter. I bring in some other drawings of mine to experiment with and see what works, what doesn't work, analyze the reasons behind it. Okay, I need to focus stronger on the character, a little tighter framing. So I put this piece by Annie Knows Art over the mock-up, and I'm hooked. This character is making eye contact with me. There's danger, there's sexiness to the piece. There's mystery and intensity. It's cropped really tight, it's at an upward angle, and she's looking down at me. It's sketchy, it's energetic. Man, I wish I made this piece. Now I'm inspired. So before I go back to the drawing board, let me tell you how I showcase my art on my website using today's sponsor.
You know I use Squarespace for my portfolio and shop website. I've been using it for years and I've never been disappointed. It's so easy to customize with so many templates to choose from, and it always looks professional, and I don't have to know anything about tech or coding to make it work. I also host my shop here where I can manage everything from inventory to sales. It's super simple and my customers get to use any payment they want, like Klarna, Apple Pay, Afterpay, PayPal, etc., etc., etc. I'm a big fan of having a clear and simple website. So why not go ahead and make your own website with a free trial? And when you're ready, you can use my code JackieDrushko for 10% off your domain or website. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to painting.
So I'm gathering more inspiration and references, but I'm all over the place with themes, colors, ideas, casino stuff, rocker chick, cool girl on the ground, smoking. None of this is me. I'm trying to draw what I think is cool and edgy and mysterious, but why would I want someone laying on a messy floor smoking to represent me, right? I'm so far off base, I need to regroup. I need to put this down and get back to my roots. Who I am. What inspires me? I go back to my original inspiration. It says warmth. It says comfort. What does the Medusa painting by Annie Knows Art say? It says mythical and fantasy. I love drawing mythic characters like Medusa. And then I came across this image on Pinterest, and it made me think of Yu Ming Lee and their way of painting iridescence and themes of armors and gods. And then I had a clear idea of what I wanted to draw. I started sketching a very loose idea using this reference image. I take what I love and then hide the ref so I can be a little more creative and free. I block in some colors behind the sketch to test out if this concept can even work. I'm considering that blue doesn't print very vibrantly, so I'm also flipping between CMYK and RGB to be sure that I don't lose too much of the palette in the print. I put my sketch over the mural to see how it looks. Looks dope. I try some variations of title positioning, making it similar to my first art book, since it's a sequel. And then I extend the canvas to make the full wrap of the book cover. Now we're cooking. Looks good on the mural, looks good as the cover. No time to waste. I get to lining the character a little loosely since I've been so stuck with this piece for the past 100 iterations. I try to keep my line art pretty loose in the way that I usually tackle my drawings, since I know if I would try to make something clean and perfect, it would feel stiff. And this is just my tie down sketch. I'm not committing to these lines. I want the anatomy and the flow correct in this pass. I see my mistake of not drawing the anatomy under the skirt, and I don't know what her legs are doing. And because of that, the rotation of her torso doesn't quite feel right. I suddenly forgot how to draw bodies and use boxes to see what the hell is going on with the chest and the hips. Why does this look so weird? I even draw a perspective grid? What? Things are literally going nuts for me right now, and I think the pressure is really getting to me. I bring in the new anatomy sketch over my drawing and focus on simplifying those shapes to create an interesting silhouette. And don't even get me started on the hands. Oh, and quick thing, did you know that half the people who watch my videos aren't actually even subscribed to me? So if you've made it this far, chances are you like my videos, I hope. So if you genuinely like this type of deep dive art process, then please consider subscribing to me. It's the easiest way to support me and helps me keep making big projects like this one. So anyway, I had to take a picture of myself for reference because I had no clue how these hands would work, but I figured it out. Finally, I can block in some colors. I use my thumbnail to color pick and try to carry those ideas over. I don't even make clean lines because I'm sick of lines and I just need the piece to feel a little bit more complete for my own sanity. I bring in references from Loish and Yu Ming for color and rendering style. I've never made something iridescent, and I decided today is the day I will learn it. So I study and analyze what makes these colors work and what makes them feel so magical. I start with the face, since if the face looks beautiful, then nothing really else matters because it's the focal point and that's what the audience will connect to the most. I want her to stare into my soul. I paint the face pretty confidently, which I'm also impressed I can do that, honestly. And then I go along with the hair. I think that the lack of line art and my merged layers and my sketchiness really helps keep the flow and the energy of this piece, so I'm pretty happy so far. My strengths are things that I draw all the time, and that's hair, skin, faces. What I'm not used to painting is dresses. I have barely drawn or painted long flowy skirts, especially with colors like this. So I need to start big and then get more into detail as I go. So I start blocking out these big shapes and paint the textures with my canvas nice and small so I don't get lost in the details. I want lots of different materials and textures and patterns, but in the end, I find the shapes are too evenly spaced and honestly too busy. So let's circle back on that later. At this point, I've picked out the font and title styling as a little break for myself and go back to something that's not working. And, I'm jumping in between a lot of things, adding details here and there, fixing up things left and right, always flicking between grayscale to check my values, detailing the sword handle, adding jewelry, and then I realized I have to make a decision. If I want to fix the skirt, it's now or never. I rough out a better idea of the flow of fabrics, and then it's about simplifying the shapes. I wanted all this bunched up fabric, but it's really taken away from the focal point. And then the other issue, the anatomy. Again, I once again draw over the legs. Should I have a leg out? Should I have both legs out? Something's so weird about the rotation of the torso. I probably should have found reference for this belly, but you know, the way I draw that is none of my business. I end up just changing some definition in the tummy and I move on. I want some more flow in the background, so I add a little bit of smoke and some loose fragments whooshing by. I think that adds a lot of movement. And then I add final touches like stars and blurs and color variations, and bam, the piece is finished. I test the mural painting over the wall mock-up, looks great. I prep the mural file, make sure the sizing and the details are all correct, and I send that off to print. I finish up the text on the cover, make sure everything is aligned and clear, and then I put my book together in the blink of an eye. Okay, it takes me a couple days to get this part finished, but I finish it in time and I send off to print 500 copies. And then, yes, there's more, and then I put together my banner so my brand is consistent and clear when I begin to promote my new book. And I even made stickers. And then finally, I can rest and I can breathe. But are you ready to see how everything turned out? The mural ended up being gorgeous. I was actually in awe when I saw it in person. I've never seen my art this big before, and it covered the entire wall. And I just stood there staring at it, like kind of in disbelief. The flow, the colors, the energy, it came together exactly how I imagined it. And that intense stare of her, oof, it feels alive, you know? I actually got emotional staring at it because it wasn't just like my painting big on a wall. It was years of work and dedication and passion put up on this huge wall for everyone to see. Okay, so cool. And the book came out amazing too. It's thick, it's vibrant, and I sold out on the second day of the convention. My banner made a huge statement. My stickers didn't last long at the convention, and my painting was on the back of the Lightbox schedule. I didn't even know until someone pointed it out. But honestly, the best part of it wasn't, like the sales or the exposure. The best part was meeting so many young artists who came up to me and told me how much I inspired them, how watching my journey, watching my educational videos have given them the tools and the energy to keep creating. And that made everything worth it, So in conclusion, don't try to make your very best piece. Just make the piece that you can make the very best today. Because the art that matters most is the art that you create, not for the purpose of trying to prove yourself, but for the purpose of creating for yourself. Thank you, everybody. I am getting emotional, so I have to leave. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next video. Okay, bye.